Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Alvarez and I'm one of the founding members of Project Feel. If you are watching this, that means that you are actually a subscriber to us on Patreon, to which I have to say thank you so much. Every dollar that you give us really goes such a long way in galvanizing us to want to use every ounce of energy and experience and knowledge that we have to be able to provide everything that we can to creatives and appreciators of art all in our community, and that's the whole purpose of this Patreon. So if you're here, you are keeping that alive and keeping our dream alive, which is to build something bigger than all of us. And we're so grateful that you're believing us enough to support us. And that being said, this month I wanted to put together a sort of like origin story of one of the more recognizable aspects of who we are, which is our logo. So without further ado, here we go. So in the beginning, before Project Feel really had any form, we sort of only had a few pillars to go by. And the first one was what our belief of love was. So for us, love was a part of the universe, a natural part of it, the same way that gravity or that heat or that electricity or that light is a part of the universe. And we viewed love as a force, and we wanted that force to sort of be like where everything we created came from, and also what attracted everything else into the sphere that we were building, that we were growing together. And so in the beginning, when I was doing research, I was doing a lot of research on nature. I was doing research on plants and the different designs that we could see in nature. I was doing research on a lot of animals, and you could see that because there were a lot of early designs that sort of were really nature-esque. There were a lot of things inspired by sunsets, space sort of themed. There were things that were inspired directly from animals. Like there was even talk about having an animal be a mascot of Project Feel at some point. And so we didn't know where it was gonna end up, but we knew that the nature was gonna have some important role in the overall design. And that connection to nature and being rooted in that, I think, is something that I feel like you can see in all of our art. You can see it in projects from all throughout the years. Like, we are an outdoorsy bunch. Like, we love going out to nature. We love creating in nature. We love being inspired by nature. There is very much a sense of like all of us in our own ways wanting to ground ourselves in the earth. And I think that there's something powerful in that, because I think that there is no art that any human can make that is more beautiful than what the natural world already creates in of itself. The other thing that I was really inspired by when I was thinking about like why Project Feel existed and what purpose we were meant to serve in the world, in our society, was previous movements that I had personally found inspiring and interesting. Things like the student movement, all the anti-war protests in the 70s, the social activism and civil rights movement in the 60s, like the hippie movement, all these sort of points of counterculture, I was very much intrigued by, because to me what they represented was sort of not taking the world for as it is, but imagining the world for what it could be, which was exactly why I wanted Project Feel to exist. I wanted us to create art, not for like some hedonistic reason, but because like we can create art that can give people a broadened perspective of how we can exist with each other and how the world can be. And that is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful things about art. After all that research, knowing that the design was going to have some aspect of nature embedded into it, but also some aspect of sort of like this counterculture movement, and that aesthetic, the sort of piece that came through the research that sort of tied everything together was this mathematical concept called the golden ratio, that describes this sort of form that we see through all of nature. We see it in the way that sunflower seeds distribute themselves, and we see it in the way that galaxies align themselves. And I was truly like mind fucked at the fact that there was something in the universe that connected everything, that you could see some like sort of through line from the smallest aspects of our existence to our largest aspects. And that to me was so inspiring. And knowing that it was nature, that nature itself sort of followed this form, I was like, I need to incorporate this somehow, and which is also not a novel idea. Like, I don't know, when at the time I really had no idea even what graphic design was all about, so I was just doing my best to research it, like on YouTube videos and Edumi, I think it's pronounced, and just trying to understand the theory behind graphic design. And I learned from there that, like, okay, the golden ratio is something used as sort of like this building block, because not only does it look beautiful, but it's so like present in our natural world that our eyes appreciate it, that nature accepts it. So once I knew that, I wanted to use it in the logo. And one day I was playing around with it, doing all sorts of weird designs, and I just sort of took that ratio and just flipped it on itself. And I realized that it made the shape of this heart that you see. And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, it makes this really unique looking heart. And Project Feel is literally all about love. So very quickly I was like, okay, this is it. Like, so what is in this heart though? And that's where the inspiration from the 70s and everything that came from there was sort of brought into it, because what I did was sort of take this 70s font and continue to tweak it over literally maybe like 70 hours of just moving point by point to fit into this golden ratio heart. And ultimately what the final product was this design that you see now. And the last thing that I wanted to share from the whole experience of having designed the logo, and also all the time that has passed, is that there is so much inspiration in the world around us. There are so many things in nature, and there are so many things that people create. Like, I believe that if we can walk around and experience our day-to-day with this sort of childlike, open-eyed sense of wonder of anything we can walk into and what the impact that could have on us, that there is no telling what can come from a moment, like a triggered moment of inspiration, and the things that you can create from that. And that can come from, you know, things that have happened in history. That can come from a walk that you're taking in the park. That can come from movies that depict what can the future be like. If you take all of that and you're open to it, and you allow your own mind to filter it without judging your own ideas, at least at first, I believe that out of that can come something really beautiful that's both original and rooted in your own experience. And I think that there's something very powerful in that. And I also want to say just thank you again for supporting us, and I hope you have a lovely holiday season. I'm going to sign out now, and the last thing you're going to see is our logo, but done holiday style by our very own Christine Arquero, and I love it because it just goes to show the diversity of the design, and it's also mad cute. So thank you for this. If you enjoyed this video, please, one, like, let us know in the comments that you enjoyed it, but also tell people, like, let people know that we're doing stuff here that you like, because they might like it, and when we all get together, who knows, we might make stuff together that we all like. I love you guys. I hope you have a lovely holiday season and a happy new year, and we have a lot more beautiful art coming your way soon, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. Have a good night.
Just what's come over me, that BPM.